Hello, my name is Sophia Ricciardelli, and I'm a freshman at Morristown High School, and this is my Humanities presentation. So for my project in freshman year, I decided to do a mastery/skill learning project. I have always had an interest in digital art, web design, and that kind of thing, but I was always a little too scared to try anything new. So in Humanities, I decided to take this opportunity and try web design by teaching myself how to build websites. To make my website, I decided to use WordPress, which is good for beginner use but still a good platform for high quality sites. Mr. Daly suggested that I find a way to make my project more instructive, so the website I made was actually about how to design websites, including the things I encountered along the way, with tips, tutorials, and other helpful resources on it. I wanted to put any information beginners would need to know all in one spot, formatted in a way that is easy to understand. My goals for this project were to learn a new skill and convey what I learned to others who might have been in a similar position to me. On a larger scale, I wanted to use this experience to hopefully give me a little bit of guidance for the future, like careers, paths, and that kind of thing. And I just wanted it to open me up to something new, which it definitely did. I used the design thinking process as I went along with my project. First is empathy, and I had to empathize when I realized that the original project idea I had wasn't really something that would do anything for anyone else. It was basically like making a website on Wix about like music, but I realized that the part I was most interested in was like actually making the website, so I decided to change. So define was when I changed the project to something that I wanted to do, but it would also be producing something useful or meaningful. Ideate was researching both how to use WordPress and how to design websites while also collecting resources and making an overall plan. Prototype, which was definitely the longest part, it included practicing, trying things out, seeing what worked for me, and designing a website that fits my style, while also tracking progress and writing the actual content for the website. Lastly, test, which I have not actually completed yet. I have asked a couple close friends for feedback, but I have not yet published the website. I don't feel completely ready yet because there are some things I need finalizing, and I would like to get more feedback first, but it should be published very soon. And here is a picture, are just pictures of like some artifacts and things that helped me along the way. So this is like color scheme that I made. Uh, this is just like a overall plan outlines for the website. And then this is like the document that I tracked all of my resources and to-do lists and things, ideas I had and that kind of thing. It's kind of disorganized, but it works for me. So yeah. And then this is a screenshot of one of the pages on the website. And then on the left, I listed all the pages that I included, which are homepage, installation, navigating the dashboard, plugins, design, is WordPress right for you, and my plan/resources. Before we get into what I learned, it's important to acknowledge the problems I faced along the way. One of the most difficult parts of this thing for me was actually in the beginning. Once it was time for me to pick a project that I wanted to do, I drew a blank. After a little while of brainstorming and not coming up with anything feasible or anything that actually engaged me, I started getting worried, which is not helpful for idea generation. In one of my first journal entries from the beginning of marking period 2, I remember writing about how I could not think of any ideas that I was actually passionate enough about to pursue. I had to take a step back and let something come to me naturally, which eventually it did. I also faced some more technical or physical issues during my project, just such as like problems with installation and other smaller issues concerning the functionality of WordPress or more likely my ability to use it. Even though these may have seemed like the end of the world at the time, I did overcome them. And of course, I struggled with time management and procrastination. This type of project is not something I've ever done before, especially in school, so it took me a little while to get into a more productive rhythm and schedule. Okay, now what I learned and how I grew during the course of working on this project. In Humanities, the habits of mind are a list of traits separated into actions and attitudes that students should improve on during the duration of the year and working on their project. Open-mindedness, humility, self-reliance, curiosity, and patience are some of the habits of mind that I have grown and improved on throughout the process of the project. I have noticed these improvements within my project itself, school as a whole, and in my personal everyday life. First, I have improved on open-mindedness, which was really essential for my project. I mostly learned from online resources, and a lot of the times the information I was getting was things I never heard of or would never have come up with myself. The only real way to see if something worked was to try it out and hope for the best, which leads me into my next habit, which is patience. At the beginning of this project, I would get frustrated so easily to the point where I didn't have any motivation to work on the project. I noticed that towards the second half of my working on the project, I have been much more level minded. Now, when I run into a problem, I know how to handle it better. I've gotten more patient because in my first presentation of learning, I remember using patience as one of the habits that I wanted to improve on. I've noticed myself being more patient in my everyday life as well. Now, if I run into an issue with something, I actually spend more time trying to fix it instead of just giving up like right away. I've also improved on humility. When I started, I had never done anything like this before, so I had to accept that I was not going to be perfect on the first try or second or third. Letting go of this expectation can be hard because it can feel like you don't have enough control over what you're doing. But nonetheless, I was able to experiment with the website and try new things, even if it was a little uncomfortable at first. I have also gotten more self-reliant. I think most people probably improved on self-reliance in one way or another during this class, simply because of the way it forces you to go out of your comfort zone. For my project, I had to trust myself to get done what needed to be done, and I had a lot less of a structured schedule than I usually do in school. I never noticed how fixated I had become on due dates and grades to keep me productive. That once I was truly on my own, I struggled at first. But now I've become more independent and self reliant by making to do lists and not waiting to the last possible minute to get anything done. And overall, I'm able to be productive without anything except myself. Lastly, I have improved on curiosity. As I was working my way through making the website, I thought of more things that I wanted to add, and ideas just started flowing at some point. This type of curiosity usually doesn't come naturally to me, but I have noticed myself being more curious in this project, and I find myself looking up inspo or thinking about random ideas even when I'm not currently working on the site. And I've also seen this spread through other things in my life. Overall, this year has been a great learning experience, and it has allowed me to grow as a student and person. I am now more aware of my working habits, and I learned a new skill which will hopefully help me in the future. Thank you for listening.